Okay, we are here today on the 20th of July, Thursday, and we're going to talk to Grandma Egly and get all the good stories and the bad stories and learn all about the Egly history. So, here we go.
You want me to talk right now?
Yeah, just
Yeah,
go
just
ahead.
tell us when you were born.
I said, does he want me to talk right now?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
Well, the day I was born, my brother told me we had the biggest blizzard we had all winter. And it was on a Good Friday, the 28th of March, 1902. And my brother Henry cried because I wasn't a boy. And Aunt Rosie, that's my mother's sister, was there. Mother didn't have a doctor. And she said, well, by the time she's able to help you in the fields, you'd be gone. You wouldn't be home no more. But that didn't happen. Every time he wanted to go to the fields to load up corn, he wanted Ida instead of Tilly or Babe. And it used to make me mad. And you can see why. And he never told me why he wanted me instead of the other girls for 30 years. And he wrote me a letter, and he says, Ida, the reason why I wanted you instead of the other girls, because you worked like crazy. And I worked like that all my life. Gene Oxford just told me two different times lately that, Ida, you've worked hard all your life, and I have. Tim Stoop just told me the other day when he was here, he said, Grandma, I think I had 90 pies out of your kitchen. So I think he had his share. I'm stopping right now. I have to think a little bit.
You could tell them
Oh, you got to talk
where all you worked.
Huh?
You can tell them where all you worked.
Oh, every place I work.
Well, a little bit about some of it.
But when I was 13 years old, Robert Sprunner's, that'd be Edgar Sprunner from our church. He wasn't born yet, Edgar wasn't. But the first baby that was born blind. And then they had another baby within a year. And they wanted me to help take care of them babies. So I went and I worked 13 weeks for $13, $1 a week. And when my husband died, Robert Sprunger, that's the father of these babies, brought me an angel food cake and some cookies. He says, Ida, we never forgot you. When we needed help, you helped us, and we want to thank you for helping us taking care of our babies. And I didn't only take care of babies, I had to clean, I had to wash dishes. I didn't have to cook, but we had to take the old wash machine like this by hand, and I had a hoe in the garden, so you know I worked. Not only putting diapers on babies, but I worked. So, the factories I worked in, Lichty Cannery was out on the Tow Mill Road, and they used to can for other people. People bring their corn in there and things, and I worked in that cannery many and many falls of the year. I'd cut off corn. And then I worked in 3 tomato factories. One in Preble. There's how I learned how to make tomato cocktail. A Christian apostolic man told me, he says, do you know how to make what
Tomato cocktail.
got already. I told him I haven't got the recipe yet. So he gave me the recipe, and I made a lot of it. And you use that tomato cocktail in vegetable soup. And that really made the vegetable soup good. And what you did, you had to cook so many carrots, so much celery, and so many onions, and cook that and put that through the thing you put the tomato juice through, and you take a quart of that to about 4 quarts of tomato juice, and that was your cocktail. It was good to drink. Who dared to drink it? But I didn't dare to drink it because I got arthritis. And a doctor in Bellefontaine, Ohio told me I shouldn't eat tomatoes nor eat grapefruit. It feeds arthritis, so I quit.
The acid is.
So if you don't think I got arthritis, look at my fingers. Been that way for over 30 years, maybe 60. So, and then I worked in the Bluffton candy factory. And one day the manager come around and he says, "Ladies, get on the ball." The tomatoes come down about a foot high. He says, every tomato that's got a hole in it has got a big fat worm in it too. How would you like that to eat your ketchup? I wouldn't like it. Well, then I worked in the Geneva canning factory for about 3 years. And I worked at the Pina factory 1 week and I didn't like it and I quit. And I worked at the Nussbaum Novelty for years and years and years, where they made little boxes and my husband sprayed them with a gun. One day he let me spray. And then I also worked at Dunbar's. Elmer Luganville from our church hired me. And I really liked to work there. And what I did at Dunbar factory, I shaded in the furniture. And I shade the furniture in a certain color. That's what shading is. So that's about the factories I worked in. And then, of course, after Valentine died, I worked for 5 different women. Took care of them. First one I took care of, Mrs. Duff in Berne here. Her husband was a school teacher, and I knew her before I went to work for her. And her daughter said, "I'll only last 1 week." I was there from the day 2.5 years. That's how long I was there. Then she had to go in the nursing home, and then she died. And then from there, I worked for Lennever 1.5 years when she worked for the city. And then I worked for Groves in Bluffton 3 days a week. Took care of her. She couldn't get up off of a chair. You had to stand in front of her feet and then pull her up. She had some kind of a disease. And Claudia was here from South America and said, "Mom, I'd like to have you 3 days a week. Can you quit there? I'll pay you what you're getting there." And I said, "Yeah, I can quit." So then I quit and I worked for Claudia till she went back. And then after that, I worked for Hildebrands in Preble 3 years and 9 months, and I got walking pneumonia and I had to quit. But he was in a wheelchair, and she had, what do you call that thing? She had that, she'd get him, epileptics.
Epilepsy.
She had him 1 week, and then 2 weeks she wouldn't have him. And I went there the first spell she had, her daughter lived right beside her. She said, "Now you better watch Mother real good, because when she gets them spells, she might fall." Well, the first spell she had, I told her, she told me they're blackouts. I said, "Blackouts, nothing." I said, them are epileptic seizures. She got mad at me, and I told her, I said, "You can just get mad." And she said, "Well, you call the doctor. You're the one that found out about Mother." Well, I called Dr. Luganville. I told him I'd like to have some medicine for Mrs. Hildebrand. I said she gets epileptic seizures. And he said, "She doesn't get them." I said, "You ever see her have a spell?" "No." "I'll describe the spell to you and you use your own judgment." So I described the spell to him, and he said, I'll get the medicine ready and have Mr. Peck to come and get the medicine. So he did. We give her that medicine for the 2 weeks that she didn't get him. She never got him after that. No more. No more. Many and many times she wanted to give me $1,000. I said, I don't want your money. I said, I prayed for this job, and I called I wrote my brother and told my brother to pray that I'll get a job like I had when I worked for Mrs. Duff, that I can stay right there for the week through. Well, that's what happened. I was there for 3 years and 9 months, and then I had to quit. Well, then I didn't work for quite some time. Then I went to work for Meisenheimer's. I was there, I think about 3 weeks. And my cousin's wife in church said, I wish you wouldn't have a job. I'd like to have you to work for my favorite aunt. I said, he said that I can't quit my job. I said, I'll quit my job. So that afternoon, Sunday afternoon, we went to Decatur. I went to meet that lady. And lo and behold, that lady was a sister to her sister and me and my sister Babe were very good friends. Her sister was a school teacher where I went to school. So that's the last place I worked. And I worked there for 8 months, I think. And then they had to take her and put her in a nursing home. Then later on she died, so that was the last I worked. So that's my working.
So tell us about your brothers and sisters.
What about my brother and sister?
Anything. How many brothers and sisters did you
Well,
have?
I had 4 brothers and 7 sisters. We were 11 in the family. The first baby was born dead. The second baby was born a cripple. Never walked, never talked. But my dad had to feed him at the table. He'd see my dad and the wagon and the horses coming down the road. He'd laugh out loud. And just, he lived to be about 21 years old. And my sister Tilly, she had that shaking and shook her off of the couch. And he was sitting in his high chair. And Tilly said to him, he says, you just go ahead and laugh. You ain't going to hear very long. In 2 weeks he was gone. He died. And then Mother had 9 more kids. The first one was Amanda, then Henry, then Aldine, then Noy, then Emma, then Tilly, then me, then Albert, and then Mary. And my mother was a very godly woman. My dad wasn't a Christian. The biggest part of his life. Mother said if it wouldn't have been for her, Dad would have never made it to heaven. So, Mother would read the Bible in the morning, and we all had to kneel after breakfast. We all had to kneel down in their chairs then Mother prayed. And Mother prayed for years and years and years that her children would get right with the Lord. In one revival at the Winchester United Brethren Church, the school was right across from the church, and we just lived 40 rods down the road from the church. We always walked to church, and the school and everything. And now it slipped my mind what I was going to say next.
The revival.
Revival.
That revival, out of the 9 kids, 7 of them got right with the Lord. It was Amanda and Henry and Aldine and Noe and Emma and Tilly and me. I was the youngest one. I was 13. And they had the meetings in the daytime, and they had anyone from the school that wanted to go to the meetings could go, and that's when I got right with the Lord. went from the schoolhouse to the church. And over 50 people got saved in that revival. And it was our own pastor that had the revival meetings. Reverend Kindle was his name. And that was something else. Seven. Maybe you think my mother wasn't happy. She told the people, she stood up and told the people, she says, I've been praying for years and years about ready to stop praying. She said, I thought God was never going to answer me. But she says, look what God did now. The 7 out of 9 got right with the Lord. And 2 of my brothers were preachers. Well, Henry was a missionary in Africa for 3 years. He took somebody else's place. Somebody couldn't go, and so Henry and Phyllis went. And their 2 oldest girls, well, that's all the girls got, were born in Africa. And then after they moved here, they moved close to my dad, and he farmed my dad's place and his farm that he bought. And he planted a big orchard, and he farmed, and then he preached at the Evangelical Mennonite Church for years and years. Guess what he got for paid?
What?
$35. $35. That's all he got. That wasn't very much. No. And then they moved up north, where she come from. Where he met her, my brother, before he ever was married, well, he graduated from Moody Bible from Chicago.
Okay.
He only went to the 6th grade in school, never went to high school. He took his high school and everything there at Moody's in Chicago. There's where he graduated from. And then he had a big tent before he ever got married, and he'd go from town to town and hold revival meetings. And we girls didn't like that, because he had them shirts. The collar was loose from the shirt, and we had to starch them so stiff. And then we had to iron them. We didn't have an electric iron. We had to heat the irons on top of the stove, and that's the way we had to iron the shirts. So that was old times, but good times compared to now. Nowadays it's money and sex on television, so you hear.
What other things didn't you have? Like you had to use the...
What didn't we have?
Like you had the iron, and what other things made it difficult?
Well, we had to work we girls had to work in the fields, and we girls had to do the milk, and the boys didn't. And we didn't sell milk. We separated the milk, and we had a song that we sang, but I don't remember it anymore. Well, we turned the old separator, get the cream away from the milk. Well, we had a song that we sang all the time. I can't remember the song anymore. But we had fun.
Did you have...
Huh?
Tell us about the washing machines that you had to use. How you did the wash?
Well, we had like this, by hand. I mean, with a washing machine.
A handle.
Mm-hmm.
When did you get your first electric washing machine?
My first what?
Washing machine.
Well, we never had electricity. My dad had something that made electricity.
Generator.
And after I was born in that, my dad built a new house. Him and Bird Leisure built our house, and it's still standing, a mile south, 2 miles west of Monroe. And I don't know what to think. What else you want to know?
Let's see. Well, tell us about getting married and how you met.
Well, I met Valentine. Well, I had a date with Wayne, can't even think of his name, Wayne Whitwer. And we were at the Decatur Fair, and he said he couldn't come, but he'll get me a boyfriend. So he introduced me to Valentine Egly, and that's how I met him. That's how I met him.
How long
Yeah.
did they go together?
Oh, yeah.
37 years.
How long did you go together before you were married?
I don't even know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Tell us
Uh,
about
Huh?
tell us about your marriage and your wedding and.
My marriage and my wedding? Oh, we went to Hillsdale, Michigan to get married.
And did you have a wedding or you just?
No. We went to his folks, and the next day I met his folks. I hadn't met his folks yet. And I met them there. And then I lived in with my folks, with his folks for 2 years. I didn't even have my own kitchen, but I had 2 bedrooms, a bedroom upstairs and a bedroom downstairs and a front room. But we all cooked and ate together. And Grandma told other people that I'm a very, very neat housekeeper, but I'm slow. so you know how that was. But we never had a word between us for 2 years, so yeah, that's going some, don't you think?
Yeah.
And then we moved to Monroe, and oh yeah, from Monroe we lived there 6 months, and somebody else lived there then and farmed the place when we didn't. Oh, I got a lot of things yet to tell about the farm, because we moved back then again. Now, Grandpa had a stroke, so Grandpa's wanted us to move back again. I mean, my in-laws wanted us to move back again and farm again. So we did. So I was there 3 more years. And then what'd you call it? I think Grandpa died then, didn't he?
He
No.
died when I was 16.
No. And then three more years, and then Grandpa asked me one day whether I would cut corn. He gave me 5 cents a shock to make a shock of corn. I cut 500 shocks. And in the evening after Valentine got through filling silo, why we'd go to the field and tie 'em. But after I got through in the day, I had to go home and milk 10 cows. My hands couldn't hardly take it. That was milking them by hand. 10 cows. So Grandpa gave me $25, 5 cents a shock. Guess what I did with it?
What?
I bought me a winter coat with a fur collar. And Ida Egly was the only lady in West Berne Church that had a coat with a fur collar. And I was a very proud woman. How'd you like that?
That's pretty nice.
Huh?
That's pretty nice.
Now that's a fact. I tell that a lot of people. I was the only woman with a fur collar. But back there, that was an expensive coat, honey.
Oh, yeah.
$25 was an expensive coat. Yeah. No, then I and Valentine both came back to the Lord when we lived at Grandpa's the last time. But she was born out at my mom's. We were living in Bluffton then. And then Cloetta was born at Grandma Egly's, and so was Glenagher. And Carl was working there. Valentine's brothers had a garage. 2 of his brothers had a garage in Preble. No, in Peters.
Petroleum?
Where was it?
Petroleum?
Huh?
Petroleum?
Yeah, petroleum. And they couldn't make a go of it, so they borrowed money and had Grandpa's name on it. And they couldn't pay it. So poor Carl had to come and work it out. He worked there 2 summers and worked at Grandpa's in the fields to work out that money. So that was rough for Carl.
He goes to First Church. Carl Egly.
I
What about schooling?
And then after we left Grandpa's, where did we go first?
No. Lynn Grove.
Huh? Lynn Grove. Yeah, we moved to Lynn Grove, and there Carolyn was born in Lynn Grove. And guess what? Valentine worked at nights, and I went and called my own doctor. We didn't even have a phone in the house, and I told the lady, the good friend of a Dubois, that I'd be coming to her house to call the doctor. And when I got to the house to call the doctor, well, first thing I did, I went to see if I could get a woman to stay with me. I had called my sister, and she said, well, John is coon hunting, and it'll be late till we get there. Well, then, in the meantime, I got she was in Amstutz, Fanny Amstutz. I got her. Well, I went to another lady first, and she said, oh, I'd pass out if I'd had to come. So I had to go to the other place. And there's a man there, and he said, hurry up and go. She might have that baby on the way. Going home. So I stopped at the garage. They had a garage. The Dubois did. And stopped at the garage and called my doctor. Dubois, the guy that let me phone the doctor, he said, I never saw such a brave woman in all my life as I was. And I went home. Pretty soon the lady come that was going to stay with me till the doctor got there. And then they put me to sleep and used the instruments. And that's how she was born. And then Carl was living with Grandpa there, and he was just dying to come. He was in bed already. He was just dying to come down to see what was going on. They wouldn't let him.
So you had to have an operation to have.
Well, no, they just put me to sleep and they used the instruments.
To pull the head out.
To pull the head out.
The instruments took hold of the head and pulled. Well, can't have him yourself. There's another way to get him.
That's true.
And Lester, we took you kids to my mom's. That was on a Sunday. And he wasn't born till 6 o'clock that night. And people used to always say, well, you'll have a boy someday. I said, yeah, when my girls get married, I'll have a boy. Well, when Lester was born, first thing when I come to, Valentine said, Mom, you got a boy? I says, I don't either. He says, you do too. And I cried for joy. You believe it? Well, then when Albert was born, he was born in Monroe. We were going to have ice cream. It was on the 4th of July. We always called it firecrackers. He was a firecracker, too. When he's only not even 2 years old, we lived in a house where 2 families lived in. We had half of the upstairs, and the other family had the half, and I had half of the downstairs, and they did. And the other people had milk bottles out on a table outside. What did he go do? At 2, not even 2, took a milk bottle, went uptown, and they asked him, what do you want? You want some milk? He shook his head, yes. And my cousin's wife watched that nobody had hit him. He had to cross the street to get to the store. He come home and handed me the milk. He wanted his bottle. So we fixed him the bottle. And Anna, that's my cousin's wife, she says, I never in my life saw such a brave little boy in all my life. And the people in the store got the biggest bang out of that.
I bet.
Yep. So that's about the story that I know of.
So tell us about school.
Huh?
Tell us about school. How?
About who?
School. How long did you go to school?
6th grade. That's all for. I'm pretty smart.
You are smart.
I know a lot more than people do that go through high school.
Mm-hmm.
You can learn yourself.
Yeah. And you worked on the farm?
I worked on a farm the biggest part of my life. Well, we were 5 years at Grandpa's, but as a kid at home, we had to work in the fields all the time. Because boys got big enough, they worked for other people. They went and worked for other people. Of course, Henry and Noy both went to school, and they both, now Noy graduated from Fort Wayne College, my second brother. Now he has one daughter living, and her picture's over there. His wife and his other daughter are both gone. And this one here lives in Tucson, and she just dearly loves me, and she sends me money for my birthday and money for Christmas. And she sends me, for my birthday, she sends me as high as 100. Pretty good, ain't it? And Milt's sister lives in Waco, Texas. She sends me money for my birthday and Christmas sometime. She's another one that sends either 50 or 100. Oh, I got a lot of friends. You know what? I got over $900 for my birthday.
Oh.
Can you believe it? 62 cards. I'm a prominent woman, don't you know it? And I haven't been in church for seven months. And when Lester was here, when my birthday was, Lester said, Mom, we're just going to one service and you're going to go. I got there. I got sat down in the foyer there on a bench. You have no idea the people that come to greet me, because I hadn't been there so long. I don't know who the men was, but you have no idea how many men kissed me. And I don't know who they were no more. But Bill Simon, a good friend of mine, just kissed me on the lips. They was glad to see me. And you know what one lady said? Her husband's a doctor. She says, you dursn't die. We need you. And Brad Zimmerman, that's a cousin of mine, he held on to my hand. He said, I ain't going to let go of you. That's how they like me.
Was Valentine the first one you kissed?
Huh?
Was Valentine the first boy you've ever kissed?
Who, Valentine?
Mm-hmm.
No. I didn't go with who?
Frank Moser.
Huh?
Frank.
I can't hear you.
Frank Mosier?
Oh, I went with Frank Moser for 2 different times, 9 months. And he never forgot me. And he had a married. I never had nothing to do with him at all. I went with 2 different times, but he cried when I got married. But he married another woman, and he had 3 boys. And then he died. But see, my first cousin married the guy I went with, his dad. And he drank a lot. His dad did. I mean, Frank's dad drank a lot. Now, I saw Frank drunk too. That's one thing I didn't like about him, because he drank. And, but my The one that married her, his dad, she told me he never forgot me after I was married. I mean, he married another woman, but he never forgot me. So, he liked me. So, that's the only guy I went with. Him and Valentine. I mean, him and Valentine study that I went to study with. And how I learned to know him was through his stepmother. Yeah, that's quite a story. Don't you think?
Yes, it is a story.
Huh?
It is a story.
It's what?
It is.
I don't know anything else anymore. But Paul Ertl told me I did a good job at raising my kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know what Ruth told me? Paul really likes me. See, Paul lived with us a year after Valentine had a stroke. And everything that Paul did made Valentine mad. He couldn't do anything but didn't make you mad. Well, then after Paul's left, they came to help with the rent and stuff. After Paul's left, then he turned against me. Well, then from there we moved to up above the drugstore in Berne. And I'm telling you, he used to get so mad at me, and I tell him, Dad, I says, as long as you get mad like this and don't get right with the Lord, I says, you're not going to get to heaven. And Valentine is in heaven because I preached to him. I did. And my dad is in heaven because my mother preached to my dad. And Paul Ertl says my kids are what they are because of me.
Can you tell us? You had told you had told me before.
I had what?
You had told me before about how you asked the Lord to heal Grandma.
Oh yeah.
That story.
What was it you had?
Double pneumonia
Double pneumonia.
and St. Vitus dance.
And I was out in the summer kitchen washing, and the men were up in the barn. Grandpa and them were up in the barn. And I told the Lord, I says, Lord, if you heal her, I says, I'll serve you the rest of my life. He healed her instantly. Isn't that right? Instantly. And I went up to the barn, and Jake Moser was there. The guy I went with.
No.
His dad was there, the one that drank so.
Okay.
And he heard the whole story. And I told him, I says, I told the Lord I'd serve him the rest of my life if he'd heal my daughter. And I says he healed her. You know what Jake said? Poor Jake died drunk. He was on the wagon. They had wagon and horses. And the horses took a jump, and he jerked him off of the wagon, hit his head on the ground, and it killed him. And he used to tell Grandpa, I'm just so afraid I won't make it. And he didn't. And that's a sad story. When you know people, and you know where they went, and you know they're not ready, but he wanted to be ready. Sad. Now, as much as I know, I think Frank was ready. I mean, the guy I went with. That's what Eva said. So I don't know. No, Frank's had 3 boys, and the oldest one died. He had cancer. But I went to see his wife. She remarried then, and I went to see her at the funeral home. Minnie Mertz and the Ferris took me. So that's how I got to go see that. I mean, her son.
What do you think is your biggest accomplishment?
My biggest accomplishment?
Mm-hmm.
My family. My family.
That's what
I got a very godly family. Huh?
that's what Grandma said. She thinks your biggest accomplishment.
Family. Well, Paul Earl says it too. Paul Earl says I got an A1 family. Ruth Stoop told me when she was here, she says, Grandma, my dad really likes you. Well, when he was here the last time, he says, Mom, he says the first time I come to see Cloetta was when he lived out in the country there on the Crick Place. He says, I never got such a welcome from anybody in all my life as I got from you. I says, Paul, I fell in love with you first time I ever saw you. I says, I fell in love with you. And I says, it's been mutual all these years. Well, he says, you're not my what you call it, you're my mother. I said, well, you're not my son-in-law, you're my son. And boy, that it really did something for Paul Earl. Well, Cloetta went kind of young, and it was hard to see her have to go. But if she would obey the doctors, she'd still be here. The doctor said when she feels pain down her arm, she should come home right away. She felt pain in the fall of the year, and she didn't come home until spring. And the doctor come to see me when I was in the hospital with my pacemaker, and he said, Mrs. Egly, I'm sorry I couldn't spare her life, but he said she had a worn-out heart. Well, now see, I had a worn-out heart before I had this put in. My heart was only beating 20. Well, first, I was in the hospital. Dr. Rich wanted to come and put a pacemaker in. I said to Dr. Rich, I said, I don't work that fast. I said, I want to talk to the kids first. So Claudia was home from South America. She says, Mom, don't take him. Your mom didn't like Rich very good. She didn't think he's a good enough doctor either. and so Claudia says, take Dr. Hamble. So I did. Dr. Hamble, when he's operating on and put this in, I couldn't see him, but one of the nurses was in there, I knew her, and he kept on saying, Mrs. Egly, everything's going good. Well, I says, why wouldn't it be? I said, they're praying in Jamaica, they're praying in South America. I said, my whole church prayed last night. I says, why wouldn't it be going good? But I said, this is my time to go. I'm ready to go. He says, God's not done with you yet. So?
How old were you when these heart troubles first
When
started?
I had this put in?
Yeah.
Well, I was about, this is going on 8 years that I got this. In November the 7th, it'll be 8 years. And about 90. I'm 98 now. So I was about 9.
Well, even before then, did you have heart troubles before 90?
You had a worn-out heart.
I can't think what he said.
Okay.
Oh, did you have heart troubles before?
Well, yes, I had walking pneumonia.
Lung trouble.
Well, I was in the hospital with a worn-out heart, too. I was in the hospital with a worn-out heart. And then's when they wanted to put and Dr. Hamble told me that if I'd have had it put in when Dr. Rich wanted to put it in, Medicare wouldn't have paid a penny. I waited till I needed it. My heart was only, in the night I felt like my heart wasn't beating anymore. And next morning I called the doctor. And he says, come on in, we'll put a monitor on it. And my heart was just beating 20. I could have died right then and there. And he said if they'd have put it in when Rich wanted to put it in, Medicare wouldn't have paid. But Ben's, we waited till you needed it, Medicare paid it all. Over $800. So that's that. Good thing I waited. But I could have died. Now Dorcas was beating 40 when she got hers, her heart. Dorcas Stringer, she was Ringenberg, but I can't think of her last name. Well, I'm just living day by day, minute by minute. I don't know how long I'll be here. Henry, all my oldest brother's kids say I'm going to be 100, so we'll wait and see. If I do, I'm going to have a shingding. I don't know who's going to have it for.
Someone will, I'm sure.
I don't know. But when I was 98, the whole church sang for me. I was then I was still going to church. See, the whole church sang for me. So I got up and I testified, and I said, I want to thank you for singing for me. But I says, now you can pray that I live to be 100. You should have heard him laugh. And one lady in the church wrote me a card. She said, boy, did I ever like your testimony. That I want to live to be 100. Well, I do. I want to live to be 100. Huh? I'd be crazy if I didn't. Huh? Don't you think?
As long as you can think.
I got a good friend that lived real close to me up in Geneva. She's going to be 103. She lives right here in the next building. And when she was 100, I went to her party. What do you think of that? That's a gold song.
That's amazing.
Huh?
I said, that's amazing.
Yes.
What's the important piece of advice you would give?
Oh, yeah. Hey, Grandma, what's the most important piece of advice you would give us?
And our kids.
Most advice,
Yep.
live to the Lord as close as you can. Don't go dress like I think you're something else, and then they have to redress you. That's for the birds. You wouldn't do that anyhow. I know you wouldn't. Yeah, you see that on television. Murray has a show. You look so long and you shove her off. I like to see them after they got them redressed.
Mm-hmm.
Then they look fit to go out, and they're giving their parents fits.
Uh-huh.
Did you ever see that
Yeah.
show?
Ask her what TV show she watches.
That's the craziest show I ever saw.
What TV shows do you watch?
My favorite one is Would You Like to Be a Millionaire? That's my favorite. It was on Tuesday night, and today's Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be on tonight. He's not on Wednesday night, and he's on Sunday night. But what tickles me so he can get right down mad. I don't blame him. Some of them people that are on the show shouldn't be on there. They're dumber and dumb. Well, some of them only get, what is it, 1,000? Yeah. Not the last time. 2 of them only got 1,000, and one of them got 25,000. 32,000. 32,000 he got. But I've seen everyone that got up the million.
Whoa.
Boy, then I shout too. They can holler, but I can too.
When did she first think of television?
And then the next one is
Wheel of Fortune.
it comes on at 6:30.
Wheel of Fortune?
Wheel of Fortune.
What did you think of TV when it first came out?
What did I think of TV when he first come out?
Mm-hmm.
Well, just like everybody else. I had $25 worth of quarters, This thing cost over $500. I had my quarters at Dave Nussbaum's. Dave said, "Mom, the quarters are right up there in top. You want to sell them?" I said, "Yep." I got over $500 for my $25 worth of quarters. Beat that.
Is this your first TV?
No, we had one up above the drugstore.
What did everyone
The
think?
kids got it for us.
What did everyone think about TV?
Huh?
What did everyone think about TV?
What did you? Who think about TV?
What did you and your friends and
Oh, well, it's like something else. At home, we didn't have much of anything to watch as kids. But we were happy.
What you got for Christmas when you was a kid?
What did you-
what did you get for Christmas when you were a kid?
When I was a kid,
Mhm.
a plate full of candy. That's what we got. We had to go to bed. Next morning, they set the table, and our plates were full of candy, all kinds, a lot of hardtack. And my brother Henry, we were ornery. When we'd hurry up and eat ours, and then we'd swipe from Henry. And what did he go do but hide his under the school desk on the front? There was a porch there on that side of the what you call it. He hid his candy under in the desk, and a dog got his candy, and we goodied it to him.
What kind of games did you play when you were a kid?
Oh, I don't remember that no more. What kind of games we played? On a Sunday afternoon, we'd go to the schoolhouse and play.
Baseball?
Like you pitch a ball and then you'd hit it.
Uh-huh.
That's softball.
Baseball,
Or what
softball.
Anyhow, a cousin of mine told me years and years after it, when we used to go play ball at the schoolhouse, he says, "Boy, when you'd hit that ball, then you'd run as fast as a rabbit." He told me as a fast runner. That's where I tell what you call it. That's where she gets her running from. Erica. Erica's a fast runner. She's got her name in the paper already.
Oh, really?
Sir.
Yeah.
Kim's.
Yeah.
Has got her name in the paper. And she's got an A1 boyfriend, too. Did you hear about that?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, she goes with that guy he got over 3,000 in scholarship. 3,200 for being so smart. He's really smart. And his folks really like her. I mean, her boyfriend's folks really like Erica.
Mhm.
And she really likes Ben. I says, "Erica likes Ben."
Mhm.
I don't blame her. I like him too. He's a nice guy. We ate right across from each other when my last birthday was.
Oh,
He was at my birthday party.
okay.
Mhm. He's very nice. He's starting college this fall, but he told him it wasn't too far to come to see her, come from college. He wants to be a lawyer, just so he's not going to be a liar.
Okay. Okay. Okay, we're going to take a break.
Huh?
We're going to take a break right now.
Okay.
Grandma, if you had to change one thing, in your life, and what would you do? If you could do it over again, what would you change?
I wouldn't got married. I mean, I wouldn't have made that I had to get married. That's one thing I wouldn't have.
What do you mean by that?
You regret it because you reap it. Did you know you reap what you sow? Yes.
Could you tell us what happened?
Huh?
Could you tell us what happened?
I didn't get what he said.
Could you tell us what happened?
You had to
Well,
figure
what,
out
what everybody else happens. Happens to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Look at the young girls at 13 and having babies. Huh?
Yep.
I'm just thankful that he married me. See, he was engaged to get married. She didn't want no diamond. She wanted his class ring, and she still got it. And she married somebody else. Well, Valentine told me she wasn't no better than I was. So there you are. And she was from Nebraska. But her husband, either she left her husband or she left her. Anyhow, she wrote him a letter and wanted him to come back. And he wrote and told her, I'm married and I'm not coming back. He met her here at the Mennonite church. That's how he met her, at a conference. That's how he met her. Then he went out there and worked for somebody else, not for her folks, but for somebody else. He went to Nebraska and worked out there.
Who was she?
Huh?
Who was she?
Who was she?
I can't tell you anymore. I got her picture, but I have a hard time finding it, where I got it. Don't know how many pictures of her that she had given him. I was better looking than she was, I'll tell you that right now. That's it.
Yep. Okay.
Had it done it over and never done it. You look back there.
Turned out all right, Mom.
Huh?
The Lord forgave you, and look, you had me. Haven't I been a big blessing? You didn't abort me.
Huh?
You didn't have an abortion.
Nope. You know what? I don't know if I ever told you this or not, but I didn't know for years after I was married, John Mertz, Valentine wanted to run off. He didn't want to marry me.
Is that right? Mm-hmm.
Yes, and John Mertz just begged him not to run off. And he told Babe if Valentine would have ran off, he would have married me. Now that's going some. That's my brother-in-law. He was going with my sister. Now that's going something. He thought the world of me, John did.
Yeah.
Grandma, could we talk about this picture?
Huh?
Could you tell us about this picture?
Well, that was taken. We got married.
Show the
Now
picture.
Hold it up to the
Hold
camera.
it so they can see the picture.
Harv and Adele took us to
To Michigan.
Hillsdale, Michigan. I got a picture of where we got married. Somebody went there and took a picture and brought it back to the building where we got married in.
So
The guy there thought I had a funny name, Klopfenstein. Oh, I didn't tell you. I didn't tell you what I was going to tell you about Jill's husband. I said I'm going to have fun with him when I see him. He ain't got nothing on me. I got Jewish blood in me. Did you know that?
Mhm.
Did somebody tell you?
Yeah, I don't remember who.
Huh?
Yeah, I don't remember who told us, but
Yes, we got Jewish blood in me. The Klopfensteins had Jewish blood in them. So, and where she lived in Cleveland, the Jews thought she was a Jew. And Carolyn, when she worked in Fort Wayne in the restaurant, they thought she was a Jew. And I was telling that to Tim Myrtle. Oh, he said, every place I go, they think I'm a Jew. I said, because of your hair and your beard? No, because of my nose. Everybody thinks he's a Jew. That's the first he found out that he's got Jewish blood in him too. Yeah, my dad had Jewish blood in him. So I'm going to tell him he ain't got nothing on me. I'm part Jew too.
tell us when this picture was taken.
Huh?
Tell us when this picture was taken.
Right after I was married, in 1922. I was 20 when I got married.
How old was he?
Huh?
How old was Valentine?
19.
How old was Valentine? He's 10 and a half months younger than I am. So figure it out.
He was 19.
He'd be right up there.
Could you tell us your feelings about? Could you tell us your feelings about the wars?
About the what?
The wars that the United States was involved in.
What do I think about the wars?
What were your feelings? You lived through them.
Well, I had a first cousin, and he had to go to war, and he come to our place, and he just cried and cried and cried. And he says, I got a feeling I will not come back. That was of World War I. I have a feeling I'll not come back alive. And he didn't. He got killed. That's a sad thing that I got about a war. They go, will they come back? They may not. So, I hope you never have to go.
I hope so too. Were there any other ways that the wars affected you? Were there any other ways that the wars affected you personally?
No, not necessarily. That's the only one that I know of that of the relation that died. And then, of course, he wasn't raised by his mother. His mother gave him up, and Ikers raised him. And Ikers were an uncle to him. Ikers are the one that took the blunt. The real mother was. The real mother was my dad's sister, and she is the one that lived in up where the Henry's kids live. Two of my brothers married sisters. Henry and Noy both married sisters. Henry met his wife. She played the piano for him when he preached at the church up north. That's how he met her. And then Noy met Lucille through Henry and Phyllis. But Phyllis had Alzheimer's for 9 years, and Henry took care of her all that time. My brother took care of her all that time. Now that's going some. And then Lucille got Alzheimer's. Their mom and dad both had Alzheimer's, and they have one more sister living, and she's got Alzheimer's. She doesn't know nothing. The whole family, they ran in the family. But go on, talk.
Who is I? Tell us about Emma.
Oh, Emma. Well, Emma married a preacher.
First of all, who is Emma?
Huh?
Who is Emma?
That's my sister.
Okay.
Emma, and well, how Noy and Francis were good friends. My brother Noy, and that's how Emma found out about Francis. And Francis was a preacher, but they was living in a store building and had church in the store building, and they lived in the other part. And he brought a girl in there to help with the revival meetings. And it made my sister mad. And he says, you get rid of her. He says, if I get rid of her, I'll go right with her. And that's what he did. He left my sister with 3 kids. She had 2 boys and a girl. And then divorced her and married that woman. The preacher married that woman that he had there in the church to help in the church. Now that's for the birds. I used to give her food. Oh, if I think about people, all the food I give to people. She was poor. Francis is not living no more, though.
No.
Francis is dead.
Yeah, not long though.
Huh?
Not long.
Not long, no. But her two boys, the one boy died. He lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and that's where Gwen lives. And he had one girl, and 2 boys. And then my sister married a man that she went to take care of his mother at his house. And then his mother died, and then she married that man, and then she had a daughter, Neva, from that man. And so those are all living. But Gwen and Neva are Mormons. Neva married 2 Mormons. Well, the first husband, she had her kids from Hendricks, and he left her, but he's dead and gone. I went to his funeral, and then she married what'd you call it? Then she married a Mormon, and he made out an insurance policy for $25,000. And when he died, his kids was mad because that money went to her. And then she married another Mormon, and they live in Tennessee. She was just here. She and her daughter. She has a daughter in Decatur. She's a Mormon too. Her kids turned Mormons because their mother turned Mormon because she married Mormons. Crazy.
Grandma, could you tell us how the Depression affected you? You remember?
Depression?
Tell us what you remember.
Oh well, we were poor all our life, so it didn't depress us too much.
So nothing changed.
I said the same some things, but I can't even think.
When did you get your first car?
Our first car, my dad's. My dad. I got a picture here.
Do you remember what kind of car it was?
Just wait a minute.
Okay.
I want to show you something. Here's a card I got from Ben Tully. What do you call this? Friend.
Is that Paul?
No.
Is it Paul?
It's on.
You can hit the red button.
I just want to record everything.
I drove, the first car I drove was my dad's Model T Ford.
Oh.
Right there I am on the running board. Like here. Now this, wait a minute. That's me, and that's Mary, the youngest one. And back there's my brother, and that's my dad, and that's my other brother. That's my mom, and that's Tilly, and that's Emma. Emma's the one I was talking about a while ago.
Emma's
and
your
married
sister,
that,
right?
that old man.
Can you get it? Focusing.
Here's a picture of my mom
It's kind of.
shortly before she
Yeah, I
died.
have-
Hold on.
And this is a picture of my brother, my oldest brother. That's his graduation picture from Moody Bible Institute.
Really?
I have those at home.
And this is my other brother. He was in service, but he didn't die in service. Here's another brother. Here's my mother when she was 16. Hey, there's where she, or maybe 18, I mean.
It's not focusing.
This is her second house. This is my house Dad built.
It's her mother.
And here's me and all my kids.
It's not focusing. Really? Here, put this on.
Here's me and all my
We
kids.
can try the one too.
This is my brother. My brother was never married. He died. He was injured on the Oast construction, and he didn't think he was hurt very bad, but something grew over his gallduct and there's cancer.
Which brother is this?
He was never married.
Who's he? Which one?
The youngest one.
Oh.
That's that Albert. He was between
Could you-
me and Babe.
Put a new picture. Who is this?
Albert.
Uncle Albert.
Now Henry's kids was here. Henry's youngest son was here, and he took all kinds of pictures to have copies made. He wanted this one with the car, real bad. Some of them I give to him. I told him he can keep.
Okay.
See, this was their dad.
Take this.
Henry was good looking. Hey, my brother was good looking.
Yeah.
This is
We
Grandma.
gotta show.
Huh?
Oh, wait, did they
Oh,
have?
Now, he's the one that had the tent and everything, and was an African.
And that went to Moody.
This is the one. Boy, he had the money too. when the day of the funeral of Tuana, he was sitting right. I say he was sitting right across at the table with me, and he had told Violet just the week before he's got so much money he doesn't know what to do with it. So I just looked up at him. I said, Henry, you just told Violet about 2 weeks ago you got so much money you don't know what to do with it. Why don't you give me a little money for working me so crazy hard when I was a kid? He handed me $20. I says, well, didn't you make it 100? She said, his daughter said he's not got 100 with him. But when my 90th birthday was, I got 100 from him. But
Okay, this is her mother. Sorry to interrupt.
he had a what's called in the bank.
This is Albert.
Million.
Whoa.
His kids have got a bunch of money, and I don't mean any.
This is,
Well, he owned 4 farms, and he sold the other 3
Henry.
and give it to the kids.
that's Henry.
He had $1 million in the bank.
Huh?
I was just telling the camera that he had $1 million.
He's good looking. That's why I'm good looking, because he's good looking.
This was the house your
Huh?
mother, right? Or,
My dad built that house,
okay, your dad built that.
and he built one 2 miles just west of us, just like it.
This is the wedding picture.
Don't you think that I'm a good looking woman?
Oh,
You
yeah.
are.
I'm still good looking.
Yes.
Oh,
Huh? Leave it up to me.
Grandma, could you tell us
Huh?
what is your most favorite item to bake?
What did he say?
hold on.
What's
Wait,
your
wait,
most
wait.
favorite
My most favorite one
item to bake?
to bake?
Yep.
Wait.
Pie.
Don't tell us yet.
Pie
Hold on.
donuts. Hey, I should have got my recipe. He still laughed like I know when I ever saw him, I laughed like he did. But they haven't got my recipe. My recipe is a special one. Not very many people's got it. I think before I die, I'm going to give it to the Amish.
The donut recipe?
My donut recipe.
Could you tell us that story about the heaven again?
The what?
What was the story about the donuts in heaven? Say that
Oh.
again.
Oh, somebody told me when I get to heaven, I'm going to make donuts. I said they can't. I said they haven't got my recipe.
Tell him you made donuts during the Depression.
What'd she say?
Oh, tell us how you made donuts during the Depression.
During Depression?
During the
Well,
Depression.
just like I did before.
No.
The most donuts after Valentine had a stroke. We lived up at the drugstore. The most I ever made in one day. Guess how many? 400.
Why did you make so many, Grandma?
Give them away and sell them. Sold them for 75 cents a
When we
dozen.
lived
Hey,
in Grove, she
I sold them for
made
75
donuts
cents a
all night long,
dozen.
and we'd go sell them.
And I made them already when I lived in Lincoln Grove when Carol was born. Then we sold them for 35 cents a dozen. And people in overall factory here in Berne, 20 people would come down, and I'd come in with donuts from Lincoln Grove. Then I went to a house, and they take a whole bunch, and I never knew it. Mrs. Elmer Luganville got some of my donuts, and I didn't know it. And when she was in a nursing home where that other lady was, and I'd go see the other lady, she says, Ida, are you still making donuts? I says, yeah. She says, I says, you make the best donuts. I says, you never had any. She says, I had lots of them. I'd go to the house and get some. Where you took them to the house, there's where I got your donuts. I had to take a whole bunch for people that would come to that house and come and get them.
What is your favorite type of pie
Hey.
to bake?
If I had $1 for every pie I ever made, I'd be rich. And if I'd have $1 for every dozen donuts, I'd be rich too, wouldn't I?
That's a good way to favorite type of pie?
What-
And when we lived in Geneva, Carol and I, we'd run 200. We'd give them away, mostly.
What's your favorite kind of pie?
Me, squash custard now.
Squash custard. What was your
It's a new one.
the new one?
Huh?
It's
a new recipe from a lady, Amish lady up north. Carolyn got it, but that lady has now died. And I've made it many and many times, only 5 times that it has divided. The custard is supposed to come on top and the squash below.
Hmm.
But when it goes through each other, like a pumpkin pie, it tastes the same as if it divides.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I'd just have it not divided because it's got the same taste.
Huh.
That's my favorite. And then there's peach cream made
Mm-hmm.
and hickory.
What was your favorite kind of food as
What's
a
my
child?
favorite
Or what's
kind?
your favorite food now?
My favorite food now? Oh, piece of pie.
Well, tell us about ground cherries. Tell us about making ground cherry pie.
Oh, ground cherry pie? Well, when I lived on the farm with Ian Valentine, we had ground cherries out there. Only we didn't have a refrigerator. We'd take them up. I had my upstairs was one room, and the walk-in gray big room like a closet. And then as you went up the stair step, there's this edge like this, and I put paper all along that ledge and put my ground cherries there to ripen out. And from fall of the year to Christmas, I made my husband 50 ground cherry pies. 50. That's a bunch of pies.
Yeah.
He had his share. That's why so many in my family like ground cherry pie. But he wasn't in my family till he married her. But you know what? Carol likes ground cherry pie too. You go ask him. He really likes it. Did Val ever tell you how he ate it away from her?
Uh-uh.
Huh?
No.
She baked a pie, and she cut it in fourths, and then she cut 1/4 in two, and she ate her 1/8 of the pie. Then she went away. Gerald, before he went on the school bus, he ate 1/4 of a piece of pie. When he come home from the school bus, he ate another 1/4. And before she got home, he had the rest of it eat. So that's how he likes ground cherry pie. Go ask him once whether he likes ground cherry pie. I like to tease him too.
Uh-huh.
I've teased him already. He knows it. He like Gerald told me he likes any kind of pie. Don't make no difference what kind. She makes ground cherry and ground cherry pie. It ain't fit to eat.
Mulberry.
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 Right.
Ground cherry and mulberry. It ain't fit to eat. She brought me half a pie. I could have eaten it all, but I didn't dare to. I got sugar.
I gave her a half a pie, mulberry cherry.
Did you ever have mulberry cherry pie at your house?
Oh, I love
Yeah.
them. That's one of my favorites.
Yum, yum, yum.
That's Dorcas's favorite.
That's one
That
of my
one?
favorites, yeah.
That's Dorcas's favorite.
Yeah, it's about
It is.
40
It's
seconds.
really good.
Oh, okay.
I used to can a lot together like that, mulberry and cherry. I'd go to her house and we'd can.
Oh.
Ain't that right? And I'd cut off tails. The tails of the mulberries. No, I had a godly mother. I think the world of my mother. Isn't it strange how they dressed? She didn't look like this. She looked like that. I asked her, I got a dress here. I think you had it on too already.
Yeah.
Yeah. anyhow, I asked her if she wanted to be buried there. No, I want something a lot prettier than that.
Mhm.
So we bought her one from the undertaker to bury her.
Tell us about your dad whittling.
Huh?
Tell us about your dad's whittling.
Your dad whittling?
Whittles.
My dad was what?
Whittles?
Whittles wood.
Whittles wood?
No, my dad was
Yeah.
Peter Clifton's son.
No.
No.
He whittles wood handles.
Wood handles?
Oh, well, he made axe handles and hammer handles, and he'd go to the sales where they have sale and sell them. He did a lot of that to make extra money. We were poor. We only had 50 acres of land and then cows to milk. But we always had our pie. We had a summer kitchen where we ate in summer. And we got people to come to see us, and our pies on a Saturday would all be up on top of the stove in the house, because that stove up in the house was cold,
Mhm.
and there's where we put them to cool them. Yeah, so we had pie. We had a lot of pie at home. That's where I learned to make pie at home. I worked for a man by the name of Christner. She had surgery, and she had a little boy, and he told his wife, I had to make bread. He says, this woman can bake better bread than you can. Told his wife that. Just think of it, how she felt.
Yeah.
If he'd have told that to me, I'd have knocked him in the head. You'd have felt like it, wouldn't you? I made chocolate cake,
Mhm.
and then a doctor. This woman that owned the farm was a doctor's daughter. She was adopted, and she come out there for supper, and she wanted me to make the cake, and then she put the topping on it.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah, that's Christians. I worked for them too. And then I worked for other people for baby cases. I worked for my sister Aldine for the first three girls that was born.
Hmm.
Two of them are gone. One of them lives in Fort Wayne, Marcella Crozier. And boy, where I didn't work. See, I worked for so many baby cases.
Mhm.
Women that had their babies at their home, and then I'd go. When I had to get married, my sister Aldine cried. She says, "Who will I get now when I have some more babies?" So that's that.
Any more general questions about our kids?
It was my hobby. I liked that more than anything that I did.
Your garden?
Because from the time you plant and you see the stuff growing and produce, you see what God does, you just stand there. The last beans that I planted, I got the beans from the Amish greenhouse. And a guy used to go to our church in Beaverstein. Asked me, he says, "Ide, what you been a-doing?" I says, "I have been canning green beans." He says, "What kind of beans did you plant?" I says, "I got the seed from the greenhouse in 27. He says, "You got the best." He said, "That's the kind I plant." And guess how many beans was on one stalk? 15 that I pulled off to can. And there was still beans on there and blooms yet. And then Carol come and picked them one night. She come in, she says, "Mom, Ken, guess what?" "Yes, I can." I says, "You got 15 beans off of one stalk, didn't you?" She says, "Yes." So she found 15 in my garden too. Now that's going some. When you find that many beans on one stalk, that's going some. They don't produce like that, but them did. And them were the best beans I ever had. And then I can't. And 2 different years that I transplanted ground cherries up in Geneva that come up volunteer, 500 stalks. Now that's going some 500. Every night you'd go up there and water 'em and take the boxes off. In the morning when this hot sun come out, you had to go put them boxes all back on strawberry boxes, all back on the what you call it. And that was work. And then there was a time, there was a shell, real thin shell on the ground cherries. They used to all come off, but it didn't more toward the last. Before you leave, don't let me forget what I had to cut off. Get so? The shell didn't all come off, and I had to cut the rest off with a sharp knife. Jean Oxburger come to my house. She lives right over here now. She and her husband. She says, "Ida, what you doing?" I says, "I'm cutting the thing off that doesn't come off when I take the shell off." She says, "I wouldn't fool with that." I hooked a handful of that stuff and showed it to her. I says, "Do you want this in your pie?" She says, "No." That's what didn't come off. I'm cutting what didn't come off. I wouldn't want it in my pie myself. Do you want me to show you?
Yeah.
No, just sit there. Just sit there. That's what I cut off.
That's the tails.
This is what you've cut off from the ground cherries?
From the ground cherries, yes.
Okay.
It used to, years ago, that come right with the shell, but the last years it didn't. About half of the ground cherries got this on.
And that's what you
So
cut off?
I just took a fistful and asked my niece, I said, "You want this in your pie?" She says, "No." "Would you want this in your pie?"
I don't think so.
I saved this a purpose to show people how you have to work to get ground cherries. They used to, it wasn't like that when I lived at Grandpa's or at first, even at first up there. It's just latter years that they get like that. It's a weather causes it to do that. But I'm going to save that as long as I live. When I'm dead, they can do with it what they want to. I'll have to show this to Gerald to show him how I work to make him ground cherry pie. I got enough ground cherries here yet to make pies 2 times. But I'm waiting till Lester comes. Because he gave me $50 to put on ground cherries. You know how much I paid for a bushel of ground cherries? $60. And then they had a whole gallon bucket full of green ones in it. Well, the second bushel I only had to pay $25 or $45 for the second bushel, but because that had 2 bushel of green ones in it. And those green ones, late in the fall, will never ripen. They won't. They just won't. That's what I threw in my garden up there. I bought 2/3 of a bushel of ground cherries from an Amish, and only 1/3 was good. So I scattered them up there in the fall of the year in my garden and Hattie Brunner's. Well, in the spring of the year, when they worked up my ground, why Hattie said to me, "You knew where your garden's going to be. Your ground cherries are coming up a lot thicker than they are in my garden. I had a notion to tell you, thank God that I even thrown some in your garden." That's a fact. She wouldn't have had any if I wouldn't have put some in there. And that's how you start them. Then when they work up the ground, see, them seeds will come up. And they'll come up by the thousands. Them seeds will. And Kenton won't. I've sent some ground cherries out there 2 different times for him to start ground cherries. He says, "Grandma, what does a ground cherry stalk look like whenever they come up?" I says, "Just 2 leaves, just a leaf on each side, just like that." "Oh," he said, "I better cut them out. I better thought they were weeds." He says, "I got 1 big stalk that's out there. Would that make enough for a pie?" "Don't ask me such a foolish question." I says, "God knows I don't. Who knows how many ground cherries is on 1 stalk? Nobody knows. That's it.
Grandma, what's the most important thing in your life?
I didn't hear a word you said.
What is the most important thing in your life? Okay, you wanna?
What is the most important thing in your life?
My most important thing in my life is bringing up my family when they were young. And
Yeah.
God. That's number one. God comes first. You hear me? God comes first. My family comes next. God is the upper man. He's the one that brought me through this far. Of all the times I've been in the hospital, I couldn't begin to tell you how many times I've been in the hospital. I wasn't in the hospital with none of my kids. I was at home. Back there, you had your babies at home. You didn't have them in the hospital. People were too poor to go to the hospital. But I've been in the hospital, walking pneumonia, otherwise, I've had pneumonia in this lung 4 times. And then I was in the hospital for the pacemaker. And I had 3 broken ribs once when I worked for Mrs. Coos. She had an apartment upstairs, and I went to put something up there, and nobody was living up there. And as I was coming down, there's a few steps, and then there's a platform, then there's some more steps. And as I was coming down, I missed the last step here, and I reached out to catch reached the banister, and I broke the banister, and I broke 3 ribs. I went down and told the lady what happened. She said, "You better go to the hospital and have some x-rays taken." I did, and I had an x-ray taken, and he said, "I didn't break a bone, I just injured muscles." And a year later, I had to have some more x-rays taken. I was back in the hospital. Dr. Lee said, "When did you break a rib?" I said, "I didn't." I said, "A rib?" I said, "I didn't." I said, "I just injured him." 2 years later, had another x-rays. Showed up, 3 ribs broken. And I told that doctor that night, it wasn't Dr. Lee, it was another doctor. I said, "They told me I had nothing but injured ribs." He says, "You come here, I want to show you them broken ribs." Well, they was as plain as ABC. That x-ray they took at Adams County Hospital didn't turn out. Yeah, I had 3 broken ribs, and I finished working for her, and I took 80 pain pills to kill the pain and still take care of her. Now that's going some. And pain, there ain't anything any more painful than a broken rib. Poor Edna McCune has had just lately she's had a broken pelvis, now she's got a broken hip. My good friend downstairs. It's sad.
Grandma,
Huh?
could you look into the camera and say something to your great-great-grandchildren?
What's that? What's that?
Could you look into the camera and say something to your great-great-grandchildren who aren't born yet? I don't know. Could you?
Oh, he wants you to look into the camera and say something to your great-great-grandchildren.
Oh, to your great-great-grandkids.
That aren't born yet.
That aren't born yet.
Huh?
The ones that aren't born yet.
The ones that aren't born yet.
Yeah, so that when they
look back
at
on
this
this
video.
Well, I hope they all turn to the Lord. I told Carol, I told this on before already on here, that I told Carolyn I got better looking great-grandkids than I had grandkids. Says, "Mom, that's terrible." Well, I'm telling you, I've got some mighty powerful, good-looking grandkids and some mighty powerful, good-looking great-grandkids. And I am as proud as a peak of them 2 twins.
Thank you, Grandma.
I'm proud as a pig. I tell them so. You know why?
Why?
They're smart as a whip. And I might not be smart, but I'm smart enough to know who's good looking and who ain't. And not only that, they stem off from good parents. Children are what they are because of the parents. I don't care who you talk to. Children, if children aren't brought up right, they won't be what they should be. If children are brought up right in the Lord, they'll become what the parents are. They'll become a Christian. Now, just like my mother, look at the years that she prayed, and in one revival, 7 kids out of 9. Now that's a story, and a mighty powerful one. I've never heard anybody like that. I'm going to have to give that to West Berne some of these times. They've never heard that. They haven't. You know she had to be a godly mother.
Yeah.
To hold on all them years.
And some, because his mom took over praying.
And my dad wasn't the easiest person to live with. I kind of think I was my dad's pet a little bit. We were supposed to watch the water tank so it didn't run over for the cattle. And the other girls got a talking to, but I didn't. He didn't say nothing to me. So I figured then my dad likes me. Yeah, we had to do everything and anything on the farm. And the thing that on the farm that I didn't do. I even plowed with a walking plow. Believe it or not. I bet you never did. Yep, I plowed with a walking plow. I said there wasn't anything on the farm that I didn't do. And back there, we raised our own little chickens. We set the old hen with eggs. We got little chickies. That was something else too. My sister, Aldine, she was great at home to raise little chickens. I never will forget her. Aldine was a good-looking woman. She was better looking than the man that was. And she was. I tell Marcella, I said, Aldine was really good looking. And when Miriam was living, I used to tell her that too. And she was a very good person, good Christian. But her husband was a rascal. I durstn't tell about him.
No? What was the matter with him?
Well, you could tell what he did to his kids.
I don't want that on tape. Too bad.
How did he treat his kids?
Huh?
Grandma said, how'd he treat his kids? Not.
Dirty. He, one time he tried to run over him with a car. He ran down the road, tried to run over the car, and the oldest boy, in the wintertime, the water tank was frozen, ice over it. He broke the ice and stuck the oldest boy in that water tank, and that boy told me all this. Now that was horrible.
How'd his kids turn out? Were they okay?
Well, turned out pretty good.
That's good.
Yes. I don't know whether Jerome was ready to die. He just, you think he was?
At the end.
Yeah, well, Jerome was a twin. His twin died, and he lived. And he was married, and he had a boy and a girl. His daughter, lives in Fort Wayne. She didn't live very far from where Glen ever lived in the east end of town. Well, she come to the Klopfenstein reunion too. She used to, and Marcella's Marcella just had girls, 2 girls, didn't she? Miriam had, was it a boy and a girl? And then her husband got killed at the Novelty. Miriam was Aldine's oldest daughter. Her husband, he was using some chemicals he shouldn't have used, and he killed him at the Novelty. Novelty were just spray boxes.
Oh, okay.
That was sad. He was such a nice person. He was a Summers. And then of course, Marcella married a Crozier, and Tavera never was married. Tavera went taught school with Claudia, didn't she? Down in Kentucky, was it? That's Claudia's 3 oldest girls. She had the 3 girls, then she had the twins, and then when the twins died, then she had another boy, and that boy died. And then she had Vernon, and no one yet. She had 9 children. She had it rough, having that many kids. Well, you heard a story. What's a story?
Thank you very much, Grandma. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We're here with...
If I could think of anything else, I'd give it to you, but I think I'm all talked out.
You squeezed your brain enough.
Huh?
So we've squeezed your brain enough.
I didn't get what he said.
He said we've squeezed your brain enough.
Oh, my brain. Oh, my brain is still there.
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying.
Hey, you would just be thankful I ain't got Alzheimer's. I couldn't give that to you.
Yeah.
What I think is sad in life when they got Alzheimer's. See, I had 2 sister-in-laws had it. The one had it she used to go up to Phyllis. She was that way 9 years, and Henry took care of her. She used to go up to Henry, and she said, I just wonder where Henry's at. And here she was talking to him. She didn't know it. And one time, there's a dog barking. She says, "Get that old dog out of here." She knew it was a dog in the house. And she wasn't used to it, see?
Okay.
No. Now, just like Tuck Clouser's wife, she was the first cousin of Valentine. Now, she was bad, and I mean bad, because my beautician fixed her hair. She said that woman didn't know nothing. And then him and her died so close together. He was there at the nursing home too, here in Swiss Village. But she was there for. Who'd have ever thought that it was Aunt Fanny's daughter? Aunt Fanny was married and had 3 girls, and then she married a bum gardener. She had 2 boys, and them boys are both dead. And there's only 1 girl living no more of Aunt Fanny's. That'd be my mother-in-law's sister. Yeah.
Okay, we're here with Jody and Grandma Violet. You're kind of washed out in the light there.
Don't you think you got a nice grandma?
We do have a very nice grandma. We'll be asking her questions also today.
Don't you think you got a nice grandma?
Yes, I do.
You couldn't get a nicer one. You know why? Not because I raised her, but because of what God done for her. All right? Right. She served the Lord ever since she's been a child. Valentine used to take her on one lap and Claude on the other and teach them their parts to sing.
Oh, okay.
And they sang together in the West Missionary Church many a times. them two girls. I was very proud. Can you believe
I
it?
sang out to him, Joy to sing soprano. Taught us how.
They were very sweet girls. Well, you were. Just like Dave. I can't think of his last. His first name was Dave. Anyhow, they were our neighbors, and he said, that's the first time I ever saw a baby that wasn't red when she was born. She wasn't red.
Tell how much her babies weighed.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Don't take me now, well, I gotta,
Okay.
my eyes are watering.
Okay. How much did your babies weigh?
She weighed 11 pounds. Claudia weighed 11 and a fourth. Lester weighed 11. The littlest one was 9 pounds. And nowadays, 9-pounder is a big baby.
Yeah.
That's why they had to take it in. See, when they use them instruments, they go in there and fasten that instrument to the head. And when I'd have a pain, they'd pull. But they didn't dare to pull unless I had a pain.
Yeah.
And then when I had another pain, then they pulled again, and pretty soon you come out. Now you're learning a lot, kid.
Yes, I am.
Wait till you have your first.
Yeah.
Have you got a boyfriend?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
Where's his pictures? You ain't got any?
Oh, we do have some.
Huh?
Oh, you have some, don't you?
I have some.
Grandma has some.
Grandma has some. No, I hope my grandkids and great-grandkids all marry good. I hope they do. And I've been praying toward that way, that they all marry Christians. That's what I want. I want a Christian family. And God can give it to me. He's done it so far, he can do it the rest of the way. Ain't I funny?
Yes.
Any more questions?
You know, you have no idea how people like me out of West. I didn't know it till I went to West Berne this last time. How they like me out there. Just think though, I went out there 74 years. That's A.M. Clouser. A.M. Clouser was our first pastor. And it was Chris Gehrig. I just ran across a sheet of paper. The Warner sisters wrote out every pastor, how long he was here. I just ran across it. I don't know where I got it. I got it someplace here. Might have shoved it in the drawer, I don't know. But I got everybody but the last pastor. I got it on there when he came. 1995 he came. This is the one we got now. And I hope he stays a while yet. He's good. So, I think I about told you my story. You're going to be shocked when you play it. What can you play that on the computer?
Yeah, we can play it right on your TV, Grandma.
Right on TV?
Yes.
Oh!
Okay, well, this is Ryan, Jody, and Grandma, and thank you again, Grandma.
You're welcome.
It's July 20th,
And
2000.
I'm grateful that I can live this long. I often said Valentine has missed out on so much. He's been going over 40 years. He died in 1960. He missed out on so much. And I have seen all these. He didn't even see all his grandchildren. He never saw Kelly nor Melody. He could have seen Melody because she was right there at the hospital. But he didn't he didn't show her. But he's never seen none of the great-grandchildren. And just think of them. Just think how many. There's 30-some. I got 37 great-grandchildren. Well, more than that with the Yvonne's. I'd count Yvonne's in the two. Yvonne has been very nice. I'm surprised how God answers prayer. I'm sometimes almost shocked myself. I am. It's wonderful. I do. Well, just like the doctor that put this in, he said, God's not done with you yet. Well, if I'm not here for anything, I can pray. And pray goes pretty far sometimes. Now, Edna McCune, she's been so bad. I've been praying that the Lord will take her. Because that poor woman, she told me she fell, just a week before she broke her pelvis, she falls so easily. Well, she didn't do like Ida Egly did. You know why Ida Egly don't break bones like that no more?
Why?
I've taken vitamin E, 400 IU, for over 30 years. You better start taking them.
I do take vitamin E.
Huh?
I do take vitamin E.
You take vitamin E, 400?
I don't know if that many.
Well,
but
that's what's on the bottle.
all right.
Laniver's been getting me the medicine in Fort Wayne. She can get it a lot cheaper than I can get it here. And I've taken that for over 30 years. I've fallen don't know how many times in this apartment since I've been here. I haven't broke a bone. I haven't cracked a bone.
Some people,
And it's all
break their
because I
bones
took
and
that medicine.
their bones breaking and they fall.
That lady never took the medicine. She'd have took the medicine like I did. Laniver got me to take it when she's selling Shackley.
Oh yeah.
You remember that Shackley business? Yes. That's when I started taking. And I thank Laniver many times already for ever selling them to me. Now I couldn't help but breaking them ribs because I hit a big banister, and breaking a banister, that's lonesome. More luck than the good Lord was over me. If I'd have went down, I'd have been a dead woman. I'd have landed on my head because that was up high. Because the steps first was only about 4 steps, and the next was about 8 steps. So you know how high up that I would have fell. That'd been a high fall. God was over me. Well, I always say like this, God knows our life from the beginning to the end. And He knows mine, and He knows how long I'm going to live, but I don't. But I'll live just as long as He lets me. And if it's over 100, I'll go. Where He goes, I will follow. I quit talking. We'll follow. Where He leads me, I will follow. Where He leads me, I will follow. Amen. Praise the Lord. I'll say what you want me to say, dear Lord. I'll be what you want me to be. I'll go where you want me to go, dear Lord. You think I'll ever go over mountain and plain and sea? God knows I don't. Whew. Yeah. You know who got me this dress?
Who?
Carol. You have an idea what all she hasn't given me. She's something else. She likes me. She said, when I talked to her, I thought, oh, Grandma, I got to just thank you for teaching me to do this and that and that and that. Now I can teach others.
Mm-hmm.
She's teaching people how to make good oilish out there. She's teaching them how to do corn. She's teaching them how to do peaches.
Mm-hmm.
I taught her all that. She didn't do any of that when she was a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
See, she had 30 nurses under her. That's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And your mom is the one that put them together.
Yeah.
She She thinks the world of your mom. She thinks sun, moon, and stars shine on her. She says she got me just exactly what I was praying for. Well, did she ever tell her that? Has she ever told that to your mom?
Just told me.
Oh, no.
Has she told you?
Hmm.
Yeah, she really likes your mom. Because, well, she said it wouldn't be for Carol, she'd have never got Lester. She said first, she and her girlfriend were praying for a companion. And when the year was up, she says, oh, God might give me a dog or a cat. And she said, she told her girlfriend, she says, let's pray for a husband. So she said, we started to pray for a husband. And she says, when Carol wrote me that letter, and wanted to know whether I still single. Well, first she called another nurse up there to see whether she's still single. And that nurse said yes, so she called her right direct. Your mom did. Call this Carol right direct. And she said, hey, Carol, I got a uncle and make you a nice husband. And so she said, you tell him to write to me, and I'll do the same as send pictures. And that's what they did. And that's how she met. And the first, and on Saturday, Lester flew her out here, and she met all of us. And I remember I had to make pie. We met I met Carol at Carolyn's, my daughter's, and I had to make the pie. And she said, and she's told me once, I think she's told me 100 times, Mom, I got just exactly what I prayed for. She says, Les is an A1 man. And I thank God that he ever came in her life. She has been good to Lester, and Les has been good to her. They make a A1 match.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, neither one of them could have done it any better if they tried. I told them God had his hand in this, and he did. Christian person got them together. Oh, she thinks the world of your mom. She said, wouldn't have been for Carol ringing her, I wouldn't have Lester. It is, it's great.
Yeah.
But the Lord worked it out. Yeah. The Lord worked through your mom. And then I told Ruth the other day when she was here, Ruth Stoop, I said, one good thing about Paul's wife, Claudia knew her before she died. And that's another good match there. Paul got a good wife. She is really good. And Norma married good. When she married Francis. That daughter of hers is really a pretty woman. And that baby of hers is something else. She's you could just, squeeze her. It tickles me because she walks on her toes when she walks with her walker, she walks on her toes. I told her mother she's going to be a toe dancer. Oh, brother. Lester's got quite a little girl too. I mean, Lester's a girl. And Phil can thank his lucky stars that he ever found Lester for his own. Not very many children are adopted and get treated as royally as he does. Did you know some Christmases Lester gives him $500? And they had a dining room suite when they lived in the other house in South Carolina. They didn't have a room for it. So he just give it to Phil. I say not very many kids are adopted, are treated like he is. He's just treated like his own. But he has been an A1 boy too. I mean, he's been a good Christian boy, which makes the world a difference too. And he was a pretty baby when he was little. Phil was very pretty. I had to come from Lufton when they come with the baby. He was born in the Parkview Hospital. Phil was. And I had to come to Lester's. Peter was living. I had to come to Lester's to see the baby when they come from with the baby to their house. I never will forget that. And the days then that I didn't work, for Groves, I went to Peter's and helped her with Phil. And then I fixed Lester, a lot of food when Peter was so sick. I give him a lot of food. I was taking their supper during the night, my auxiliary was stuck, and a mailman picked up my food and me and took us to Lester's. And then Ferris Mertz took his tractor and pulled me out of the ditch. Never will forget that. Yeah, I've had quite an experienced life.